William, hopefully your favorite videographer. We are here at the Dallas Area Rapid Transit Board meeting, the agency known as DART to Dallas, Texas residents. As a service to the Dallas community, we plan to cover DART board meetings from gavel to gavel. Public comments are required to keep DART board aware of issues close to the ridership that they may not get through other resources.
Welcome everyone. We're going to get started tonight. DART, Dallas Area Rapid Transit Board of Directors meeting tonight. We have 5 speakers signed up, actually 6 speakers at this time. We'll read the public comments and the rules in just a minute. First item on the agenda is approval of minutes from the prior meetings. For motion by anyone to the minutes. Second. Motion by second. All in favor of approval of minutes, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. I'm going to read the public comments warnings before we begin. General public comments will be allowed at the beginning of each DART board meeting for a total of 30 minutes. And again, at the end of the meeting, when the 30-minute period does not accommodate all persons who have signed up to speak. Individuals who address the board in the past 30 days will be recognized as speaker in the public comment period at the end of the meeting. In the public comment period, board members may not interact with the speakers or other board members when asking questions or altering their own comments. Members of the public are reminded that the behavior during DART board meetings is governed by the DART board code of conduct for citizens, news media, and visitors. Personal attacks, insulting or slanderous remarks, and boisterous conduct will not be allowed. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the board. The green light at the podium will indicate when you can begin speaking. The yellow light indicates you have 1 minute remaining, and the red light indicates that your time is expired.
Are you going to plug in? Or
The first speaker is Mark Johansson.
You're plugged in? Okay. Because I'm not getting any sound. Can't get his attention.
Thank you very much.
You getting it?
I'm Mark Johansson. I'm here to offer some comments regarding my client, Pursuit of Excellence, and Marie Diaz, the CEO of Pursuit of Excellence. Pursuit of POE, I'll call them, is a certified minority business enterprise. They are a subcontractor under a contract between DART and NV Transportation. This contract was entered into in 2012. I'm here to talk about injustices that have occurred. We're asking DART's intervention to help us resolve a dispute. It's been ongoing for now a period of a couple of years between Pursuit of Excellence, my client, and NV Transportation. Very quickly, under the contract, Pursuit of Excellence was to be paid based on a per hour, per operator hour work. Okay, so it had a provision that said if the number of employees went up or down significantly by 20%, the parties would negotiate in good faith an equitable increase in compensation. That happened very quickly. We made multiple requests in good faith for the compensation to be increased equitably for the contract. It was bid based on a baseline employee number of 201 employees. It very quickly went much lower than that. Bottom line, throughout the course of the contract period beginning in June of 2012, MV has essentially been very heavy-handed. They've claimed multiple defaults on Pursuit of Excellence when defaults didn't exist. They refused to meet to do this equitable increase. They refused to mediate, which was also a requirement to a prerequisite to any legal action. Finally, after months and months and months of attempting to resolve this issue, we terminated the contract after giving notice of default, opportunity to cure, which was again ignored and rejected. To add insult to injury, after we had sustained hundreds of thousands of dollars in damages, MV filed an arbitration against Pursuit of Excellence, knowing we were about to be forced to file one against them. Again, we've incurred over $100,000 in defense costs in that case. That case is set for hearing August of 2016. In addition, there's a second lawsuit that Pursuit of Excellence has been drug into simply by virtue of doing business with MV. There's a case that the board may be familiar with. There's a case pending in federal court, Judge Lindsay's court, where the DART bus driver is accused of a sexual assault on a paratransit passenger. That case has been pending for a year and a half. Pursuit of excellence is merely named in that case because they were, again, the subcontractor of MV Transportation. They were not permitted, nor did they exercise any control over the bus driver that would have, and the subject of the claims is you didn't do these things, training, monitoring of the driver. We were never in a position to do that. It was solely under the exclusive control of MV. Again, we've asked MV to indemnify us for our costs incurred in that case. They have refused. So we're here today on behalf of our client, Pursuit of Excellence, asking for the board's assistance, intervention to help us get this matter resolved. I think DART has an interest in helping its certified minority business enterprises conduct business in a fair and even-handed way, and that's not being done here. I have written to the board previously, September 9, 2015, where I sort of tried to put this in writing in a 3-page letter and attach some of the lawsuit pleadings. I don't know if the board's had a chance to look at this. That's what we're here to bring to the board's attention. We ask for your assistance, and we just feel like the board has an interest in helping this get resolved. Pursuit of Excellence has not been treated fairly or equitably in this case.
Thank you, Mr. Hanson. Do you have copies of that? We can pick it up. I don't know. Do you have copies of what you have in your hand?
I have copies of the letter that I sent previously, and I can read that.
Okay.
Would that be okay?
Yeah, sure. Our next speaker is Rafael Rodriguez.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Rafael Rodriguez, and I, along with Mark Johansson, represent Pursuit of Excellence. I'm an attorney here in town, represent Pursuit of Excellence in both of the lawsuits that Mr. Johansson referenced, and so I want to talk a little bit specifically about the claims in those lawsuits, how MV's actions pursuant to the contract with MV have negatively impacted not only a minority-owned business enterprise, but also a woman-owned business enterprise. As you all are well aware, the mission of the Women and Minority-Owned Business Enterprise Program is to ensure the involvement of qualified women and minority-owned business enterprises to the greatest extent feasible in the county's procurement of goods and services, and to ensure that all vendors and contractors doing business with Dallas County shall support, encourage, and implement affirmative steps towards the program. MV's conduct in its contract with Pursuit of Excellence has been everything but what I just read. It's been everything but ensuring the involvement of Pursuit of Excellence. The lawsuit, the sexual assault lawsuit that Mr. Johansson referenced, have been handling. In that case, the claims were that MV, the employer of the bus driver, was to fail or negligently fail to supervise, train, hire, etc. Prior to POE being drug into the lawsuit, we believe MV pointed the finger at POE. Said POE is actually the party responsible for employing the bus drivers and should have been responsible for all these things. That directly contradicts MV's conduct, however. When POE tried to do anything that it was required to do under the contract, MV prohibited POE from doing such things, such as supervising the bus drivers, doing criminal background checks, etc. POE attempted at along every step of the way to manage, supervise, train these employees, these bus drivers, and MV prevented that from taking place. The claims in the arbitration that Mr. Johansson referenced are related to, essentially the arbitration is a breach of the contract related to the contract between MV and POE. And in that case as well, POE has said the same thing, that POE didn't do X, Y, Z under the contract, but what they failed to make clear to the arbitrator is that MB is the reason POE was unable to perform any of the requirements under the contract. And that's because MB's heavy-handed relationship or conduct towards POE. So as Mr. Johansson noted, the reason we're here today is to ask the court, to ask the board to ensure, just like the minority women-owned business enterprise mandate here said, and it says on the website, to ensure that the involvement of qualified minority women-owned business enterprise to the greatest extent feasible. Thank you, board, for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Our next speaker is Marie Diaz.
Good evening, distinguished board. I'm here just to not just reiterate the words that my attorneys have just spoke to, but speak a little bit to the fact that why it's important for DART to intervene. This particular issue has been ongoing for over 3 years and still ongoing and still costly to POE. I think it's important to not just understand what the spirit of the MBE program was set out by DART to its primes. However, it's also important for DART to ensure that they hold accountability to the primes for doing exactly what it is that they're winning a contract for. So in this instance, POE was supposed to be the subcontractor to DART, but we're an HR firm, so we cannot allow for employees to be mistreated. In this situation, not only did NB not allow POE to hire, manage, train, or develop the employees, they prohibited us from doing anything inside our contract. Therefore, we put them in default. Not only did they not pay POE, they continue not to pay POE. We were over $500,000 in 2 years' time, and now ongoing, those fees continue to rise just because we have to defend ourselves ongoing into 15 and 16, which is another $100,000. So even me terminating the contract for default, they still insist on trying to push all this money to POE. I feel like it's very important for the board to understand that this prime contractor not only did not abide by its own contract to DART, but it's still trying to push these type of fees onto POE, which is a subcontractor. But I think it's also important for DART to understand that during this process, NV wrongfully terminated its operators. It decreased 201 employees by filing or finding fault with the operators that had been employed for over 10 years plus. So some of the complaints that you heard over time, POE had to constantly intervene to say, hire them back because you were wrongfully terminating those operators that have been employed by DART for over 10 years plus. We have records, we have information that not only did they hire another subcontractor, but it was owned and operated by one of NV's VPs, which really is an interesting situation because it was called ATC. Now during this time of which they hired another subcontractor to save cost, they limited the POE operators for us to hire, but to meet their obligation, they hired a subcontractor that was subsequently owned and operated by an MV vice president. Now, not only was this a situation that should be very important to DART, but this current contractor, owned by a VP of MV, had a accident where there was a fatality and 8 people injured because the people of which they hired weren't even legal to be working here. So I think that it's very important for DART to understand that not only did they terminate operators during the time of which we were there, why we put them under contract, that they wrongfully treated POE and its current operators, and one of which even today, it took them a year to give vacation pay. I think Mr. Day just negotiated that this past year that was due to them over a year ago. So just,
Your time's up, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't think those were. So I just wanted to point out some of the issues that are at hand, and I want to say that they're even more so than that. So thank you, board, for listening to the details, some of the details, and I appreciate any kind of influence or direction that you could give to get this settled. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Sherilyn Samuel.
Good afternoon, board. I'm here tonight to speak on the expended account. On January 25th, I went to a doctor's appointment, and my card was declined. I never had that happen to me. Didn't know why it happened, but it was declined. So I immediately went home and started calling Connector Care, which handles the Flex card. Kept me on hold for 3 hours. 9 o'clock that night, they finally hung up. The next day, I called back. From January the 25th up until February the 1st, that's what I encountered. No answer. So I came down here to 1401 and spoke with 2 of the benefits specialists. They could not give me no answers. They were trying to tell me that I was responsible for filing paperwork. Last I know, I was hired as a bus operator, not a fire person. Talked with them, then I told them they could not resolve it, so I need to talk to the next person in charge. They said the next person was the ADP. She said, the manager said she was going to go around and talk to her and let her know what was going on. She came back and told me that she instructed her that I had to do the same thing that they was telling me to do. I said, no, I'm not doing that. I never had to do it, and I'm not going to start doing it now. I don't do paperwork. I drive a bus. Went on. She refused to speak with me, so I left. On February 2nd, still ain't got my medicine. One medicine I take once a week. I'm over a week past due on taking it. So I called the executive office. I was informed that Gary was out of town and just out for us too. Only person who was in town was Carol White. She never wanted to get on the phone. She kept telling me that she was in a meeting. So the young lady that I was speaking with told me that she would get some answers. She needed to go over to benefits and find out what's going on. She would call me back that evening. That evening about 4 o'clock, I got a phone call from the People Center. Ms. Garcia, and she was telling me that I had to do paperwork. I said, no, I'm not going to do no paperwork. I am a bus operator. I shouldn't have to do paperwork. I never had to. I've always been in this program from day one. Why do I have to do paperwork? And she went on to tell me, that's what you're going to have to do. I said, Mama, I don't have to do anything but live or die. That's the only thing I have to do. I do not have to do paperwork. She got upset and she hung up. So I called back upstairs to inform them by sending me backwards into another call chaos. Well, this time, Carol Wise gets on the phone, and she said, what is your problem? What is your issue? Not problem, what is your issue? And I said, well, my issue is with my flex card. No, your issue is with cussing out the employees downstairs. I don't cuss. I don't have no reason to cuss. So after I told her that, I thought that was it. But she chose to slander my name. She carried it and told Maurice Bell. Maurice Bell came over to South Oak Cliff on the 3rd, which I had a meeting with him representing another employee. And before we had a meeting, he wanted to talk to my manager, which I tell my manager everything that goes on so he don't have no surprises. They go in his office like I can't hear, talking about I'm cussing out somebody. I'm not going to allow my name to be slandered. You may not like me. You don't have to like me. But you got to work with me and respect me. So I need to talk with someone about this slandering my name. Carol Wise and Maurice Bell. Gary?
Senator Jones,
Y'all need to send these folks to interpersonal relationships because we are not animals to be talked to in kind of way. And my medicine, I just got it Thursday of last week. That's not right. And I'm not the only one complaining, but I'm the only one that will stand up and talk, because I'm not afraid of nothing to walk this earth.
Thank you. The next speaker is Russell Palmer. I want to ask you if the next few speakers would pay attention to the lights so we can keep it a little more timely. When your yellow light comes on, you have 1 minute left to speak. When the red light comes on, you'll hear me. Mr. Russell Palmer. Okay.
Thank you, I got no time, no problem with time. I want to be real quick, these are things you've probably spoken about already, but I want to speak to the fair evasion fee. And I wondered after the meetings that I overheard this stuff in, why DART doesn't have an admin fee that's reasonable, something I can actually collect. The time spent to issue the citations, get the citation to the JP, and then beg and wait for $5. Why don't we have an admin fee that's $5? Why don't we collect the money? I don't know how much we're spending to try and file a citation to the JP and hope we get a collection. Another thing I want to talk about real quick is the healthcare, the new program that was pitched. I think there's a little bit of, there's some holes in that story if you do some fact checks. One of the things they talked about, I think it was in AOC, I forget the nomenclature, but it talked about a network of healthcare professionals all intermingling and sharing information. How many software programs are we talking about? DART itself sees lots of conflicts when it comes to migration between one software program and another. I can just imagine we get 7 or 8 different doctor's offices, none of them use the same software programs, and they're supposed to talk and share this info. How much time is that going to take, and who's going to pay for that? Another thing I wanted to talk about was, they talked about facilities won't negotiate with private doctors as well. Doesn't everybody know that private doctors are going away? Groups are buying up these practices and either hiring that doctor or putting them out of business. So I hope that we migrate into a conversation where we realize that we're going to have to negotiate with groups like Healthcare Texas is a big one, and that we understand that software integration and cohabitation of software programs where we can get this network of information that we're talking about, this flow, that we can get that to be more fluid than what it sounds like in the first rough draft. That was it. I'm here to help, and I'm going to keep listening and try and draw some bullet points and maybe get you guys to do some more digging. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Palmer. Our final speaker is Keelan Day.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members. Earlier today, you had a presentation on mobility management. That is a presentation always interests us. We represent employees that work that service. We have a concern for the clients that use that service. I would like to say thank you to the board members that have a concern for the clients of that service. Thank you for the ones that have a concern for the employees, which are both important. The service should not suffer for the dollar amount. Employees are mistreated. Cab drivers would never, ever be disciplined. I don't care how well the numbers are presented to you on the slides, on the screen, you don't hear the real stories. So you don't go to the ADA meetings where clients are pacified in order for them not to come down and stand before you. These clients have a concern for the service the tax cabs are providing. So you can believe the slides that are presented. The cost of the service, the $186 million, that's not your real cost. You got a department of 45 DART employees, not included in that cost. You have 2 vice presidents, an executive vice president that manage those 45 employees that oversee the contractor. Factor that cost in, see if you come up with $86 million. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Day. Our final speaker,
I'm going to move to agenda item number 3.
Item number 3 is approval of the contract for Microsoft Office 365 for Business. Actually, item number 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 came to, sorry, item number 3 is admin. Approval of contract with Microsoft Office 365 Business.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. Approval of contract with Microsoft Office came through the administrative committee, and it passed unanimously, and I move approval tonight.
Second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4 comes up with operating safe security. Item number 5, number 6, and number 7. It should, the vice chair decide those will be handled together as an opposition.
Item number 4 came before the Operations Committee and was voted unanimously, and it was contract award for miscellaneous airbox bus parts, so I move for approval. Item number 5 was contract awarded for janitorial service for DART rail stations and transit centers. And so it's also voted, supported and voted unanimously, so I move for approval. Item number 6 is the contract award for no electric buses and related support equipment. Also move that one for approval.
Second offer.
There's been a motion and a second for item 4, 5, and 6. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Item number 7 has been cut to the Operating Safe Security Committee as well. Would you like to present that one? Item 7.
Yes, item number 7, that also came before the Operations Committee and was voted on unanimously. This is a contract award for purchase of innovation service buses. So, move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And it's back to you again. Item number 8, we're going to take that individually. If you could read that as came to operations as well.
Yes, it did, and it was voted and supported unanimously, so it's approval of amended Dallas Area Rapid Transit Bus Service for LGC for 2016 annual budget to reflect the costs to provide Collin County demand response service. So I'll also move that for approval.
Second. So a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Final item number 9, also came to Operating Safe Security. Would you present that as well?
Yes, I will. So it also came before the operation, it was voted and supported unanimously. So it's an increased contract funding to provide Collin County demand response services and assign a portion of the contract relating to the services to the Dallas Area Rapid Transit Bus Service, LGC. So I also move that for approval.
Second.
Second.
A motion and a second on item number 9. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. For item number 10, are there any other speakers that would like to speak that haven't spoken tonight? Any other speakers here who would like to speak to the board at this time? Thank you. Hearing none, the board directors meetings are now adjourned. Thank you.
Biz William, hopefully your favorite videographer. We love comments. If you don't like the way Dart is handling things, lay it out for everyone to see. If you like or hate this video, tell us. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, tell us. We even love it when you call. Better yet, like or follow us on Facebook or subscribe to us on YouTube and get instant notices of all our videos the moment they are posted.